Vanchika Paturbischa, Kripa Sindhu Evacha, Patitanam Pavenabhyo, Vaishnavabhyo Namanamaha, Om Gyan Tiramandasya, Gyanjana Salakaya, Chakshua Militamina, Tashmai Shri Guru Namaha, Trinada Pisunichana, Tarora Pisahishna, Namanina Manadena, Kitni Sadahari. Vachavigam, Manashakrodavigam, Jivavigam, Udapastavigam, Metamvigam, Yovishehetavigam, Etamvigam, Yovishehetadira, Salvamapiman, Pritvim, Sasisyat, Anyablastas, Tatenukampam, Susamik Shamano, Bunjana Vetma, Kritam Vipakam, Hatvat Papavidam, Tatev Anyablastas Sunyam, Gyan Kamalina Vitam, Anukalenya Krishna Shilanam, Bhakti Uttama, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadata, Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Tatenu Kampam Susamik Shamano, Bunjana Vetma Kritam Vipikam, Hit Vakvakubde Vididan Namaste, Jivata Yomukti Satya Bak. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams, my dear devotees, and my humble obeisances to my beloved, dearest Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and to the entire Pampara, and to all the devotees present, and all of those devotees who are going to be joining the program in our recording, which will be going out after the program. Excuse my falling over my mantras. I'm a little tired, and mantras are normally the collateral damage to brain tiredness in my case. Tonight is Holistic Bhakti. We're back after we're normally every fortnight, but we've had a 3-week break. And for any of you that are suspicious that we took a break on the night of England's semi-final of the European Cup, that was just a coincidence. There was no design in that whatsoever, I promise. I checked with Tarun. Anyway, enough of football. I'm still recovering with the pain of Sunday. Actually, I'll tell you a funny story about Sunday. For those of you who don't know, England lost the European Cup final. I was speaking to someone about it afterwards on the next day, and she was like talking about it like, yeah, okay, and she was like intellectualizing it. For me, I was still living with the pain of the loss, and I was saying, it's like I'm a Rasik Bhakta into the Ras, and you're just the Gyani talking about it. I'm vested in it, you know? So like when you're vested in something, it really means a lot. And Krishna consciousness is very much like that, actually. Krishna consciousness is not, I loved what Krishna Kanta said during the appearance day of Srila Gurudev remembrances. He said, Krishna consciousness is not a religion, it's an experience. And that's really, in holistic bhakti, that's really what we've, as a team, tried to design for devotees and aspiring devotees, and maybe people who are not devotees right now who are looking at, oh, this is interesting. We wanted an experience because we do a lot of chanting in Krishna consciousness and a lot of taking prasadam. It's very much an eating religion. And we do a lot of hearing Harikatha, which is all beautiful. And at the same time, devotees have to live our lives. We have to get on with our family members. We have to get on with non-devotees. We have to get on with one another. We have our own natures, our own psychological issues to deal with. We have to make money. We have to fend for ourselves. We got to be integrated human beings. That's why we call it holistic bhakti. So this is really a platform where we can talk in very simple, natural, down-to-earth daily terms and try and bring the Krishna consciousness of the transcendental nature of it. It's such a poetic and beautiful and divine spiritual experience. How can we make that, how can we make bhakti practical and bring the, if you like, the supra-mundane of Krishna consciousness into mundane? Or how can we turn our mundane lives into it being supra-mundane, to being transcendental? How can we How can we tie in the practical with the esoteric, the poetic with the humdrum? So that's the nature of holistic Bhakti, and we've covered a lot of topics. I'm very excited about our speaker today, who I will not introduce yet. Hold you in suspense. I'm going to hand over to my beautiful brother and nephew also, Caru, who will expand on this and introduce our speaker for today. So thank you very much. Have a beautiful holistic Bhakti. Welcome back, and over to you, Caru.
Omagana Timarandasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Jena Tasme Shri Gurave Namaha. So I could spend a long time introducing our speaker, Srimati Caru Candrika Didi, but I'm conscientious of time, so I'm gonna keep it brief. She met devotees in 1991. She met Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj, I think in 96. And took an you're still on mute, Caru.
1994 when I first met him.
Okay. I'm gonna tell the Pure Bhakti website that they need to update their information. It's all their fault, not mine. And so for many years, Caru has taken a lot of association from many very, very, very senior devotees, and has traveled, in India and taken association there, here. She's a dear member of our Sangha in the UK. I remember when you spoke, when I was the first time I met the Sangha, when I met my Gurudev, how you spoke twice. He asked you to speak on both days. I remember it's like 3 years ago or something. I can't remember what you said, but I just remember just some positive impression. I just remember being touched. I just don't remember. Same with Yashoda, actually. Yashoda also spoke on that first time. But yes, Caru Candrika Didi is going to be speaking on this topic of the spiritual guide or guru. So you have, I think, around 30 minutes. So when you're ready, you can begin. Thank you so much for coming and sharing with us.
Okay, thank you for inviting me. Yashodananda and Krishna Prabhu. I feel very unqualified to speak, but I'll try to do my best. Okay. Omagina Tamandasya Gananjana Salakaya Shakshumalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyapane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayana Namine Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuve Vacha Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Ananda Lilamaya Vigrahaya Himabhidivyakshavisandaya Tasmama Prema Sapadaya Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Shama Sundra Sikanda Shekara Smarahasa Muralimanaha Radhika Vasika Mam Kripanidhi Swaprechana Kinkarim Karu Tavai Vashmi Najivami Twaya Vinat Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Nayamam Charanantike Bhaktya Vina Parada Lakshay Shiptastakamadi Tarangamaje Kripa Maitvam Shavanam Papanam Vinde Namaste Charana Vindam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Shivo Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So before I begin, I'd like to offer my humble, most respectful obeisance as my heart like flowers, the dust of the lotus feet of my Gurudev on Vishnupad Astatasata Shishimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And at the same time, I offer my humble, most respectful obeisances time and time again at the dust lotus feet of my Param Gurudevs, Nityalila Vishnu Vishnupad, Astotar Satishishimad, Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, and Nityalila Vishnu Vishnupad, Astotar Satishishimad, Bhakti Bhagyan Keshava Goswami Maharaj. And to all Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis and all assembled devotees here, offer my Dandavat Pranams. So, actually, I didn't choose this subject. I chose another subject, but Taran Krishnapur suggested this subject, and I thought it was a very good subject and very apt as well, because we're leading up to Shri Guru Panim, which will be next week, right? So it's nice to always talk about the need of Guru in this world. We are lost in this material existence, and without Guru guiding us, then we will remain lost birth after birth. So we can begin. First question: why do we need a spiritual guide or guru? So what's the need? You know, someone could say we are perfectly capable of being our own guide, right? You know, we've been okay without a guru, some could say. But the answer to this question is that first we should consider if we have any of the 4 defects of the conditioned soul. That is Brahm, means the tendency to make mistakes, Pramad, which means we're prone to illusion, or Karanapatava, which means we have imperfect senses, or Vipralipsa, which means we're prone to cheat others. So anyone can ask themselves honestly, do we have any of these 4 defects, or do we have all of the 4 defects? And I think the answer will come, yes, certainly. And secondly, we can also look closely at our actual position in this world. We have followed our own minds and senses life after life. And where has it got us? Has it brought us happiness? Has it brought us real everlasting happiness? Has it led us to attain the very goal of our lives? If we are honest, we can say the answer is no. So, we are born in this world from the womb of a mother. And generally speaking, we are born into a materialistic family who may or may not be religious or even pious. But even if that family we're born into is somewhat religious, pious, but especially in the West, families tend to be quite materialistic anyhow. So being born in this material world, in a materialistic family, from the very day we're born, we are fed a certain narrative. So along with many materialistic impressions about what we should strive for in this world. So what is that narrative? So we all want to find happiness and are told that happiness comes from material objects that will satisfy our senses. But of course that requires money, and as much money as possible. And then where will we get that money? This is the question. But anyhow, we have to get money, and the more we get, the more happy we will be, of course. So we can see from the moment we're born in this world, we come from our mother's womb, and immediately we're being caressed by our mother, father, family members, and it's satisfying our need for gratification through the sense of touch. So just like a pet animal, we're lapping that up and we're wanting more and more. Then as a child, we're also given toys to play with, or a TV, that has maybe many kids programs on it, or these days, maybe video games that stimulate our sense of sight. So, as a child, we're very stimulated in that way. Then we're also exposed to different kinds of music, be like pop music or rock music, whatever, reggae. That's to satisfy our desire to hear stimulating sounds. Then, as a child, we're also given maybe pizza or chips or chocolate, ice cream, and this is to satisfy the urge of the tongue. So we get accustomed to, even whenever we're hungry, we want to eat, we want to fill our bellies, not just with something to maintain the body, but with nice foods in order to really satisfy our tongues. And then we think of food as not just for survival, but for gratification of the tongue. So then also our parents, maybe friends, people around us, they scent their bodies and their homes with very sweet fragrances. So like this, from the very moment we're born, we're stimulated in so many ways through all the 5 senses. And then maybe when we're about 4 or 5 years old, it's a very impressionable age, we are sent to school. And for what purpose? To educate us how to work hard, get a job, earn money, to maintain our bodies and to enjoy in this world. So we are conditioned by 2 S's in this world. What's the first S? That means like survival. How are we going to survive? This is natural human animal propensity, how to survive. But also we're conditioned through sense gratification. But in the West, there's more emphasis on sense gratification, I would say. So this search for happiness through sense gratification goes on and on until it becomes perfectly natural. In fact, it becomes our whole life, as well as the very aim and object of our life. So it comes to a point where all we think about is how we can get happiness through sense enjoyment. Therefore, wherever we look, we see stimulus that is alluring us to satisfy the urge of all the 5 senses, especially through TV, media, and TV, like the one-eyed guru that does a very good job, brainwashing everyone, conditioning us. And even we're not so conscious of how we're being conditioned like this, that we're getting constant stimulus thrown at us, and it becomes like very ingrained in our very psyche. So however, say materialistic people, they don't even realize what they are actually running after and what that will lead to. They think, well, what is wrong with innocently trying to enjoy in this world? It's perfectly natural, right? But one should consider, what is the result of that? So the example is given in Shastra, Srimad Bhagavatam, places, just like the hunter. How will a hunter catch an elephant? what he'll do is he'll lay a trap, and he'll get a female elephant. He'll train that female elephant to allure the male elephant. And then when she goes like near that trap, which is a hole in the ground, but it's covered, then the male elephant, he'll see the female elephant, and he won't be able to resist wanting to touch her, you know, to unite. And as soon as he approaches her, touches her, then she pushes him into the hole and he becomes trapped. So this is how the hunter captures the elephant. And that's just simply through the sense of touch via the skin. So also moths, how moths, they're always looking for light. You know, they're very, very attracted by light. And maybe they see a fire and they think, wow, such nice light. And they become madly attracted by that light, that blazing fire. And they run into the light of the fire, but they become obliterated. So this is simply through attraction of the eyes through sight. Then a deer, you know, is attracted to sound. And the hunters, they know this. So what do? They play a flute and they allure that deer by the sweet melody of their flute. And then the deer comes along innocently and the hunter catches the deer and can kill. So then through the sense of taste, fish, they cannot control their tongue. So fishermen, they go to rivers and they catch a fish, the fish there, how? They have a, sometimes a, what's it called, fishing rod, and they put a worm, like some bait on the end of it. And then the fish, by their sense of smell, they smell that bait, that worm. They immediately dive onto it and they're caught in that fisherman's hook. And then, of course, the fisherman will take fish home and cook and eat. So this is all through the allurement of taste. And then through smell, a bee becomes helplessly attracted to the fragrance of flowers. So it could be like a lotus flower. But what happens if, you know, in the daytime, the lotus will blossom, and the bee may fly onto that lotus and take that nectar inside. But when the sun sets, the lotus petals close over and the bee becomes entrapped in that lotus and may even die in the lotus like this. So in this way, through all five senses that the materialistic is allured by, then you know, they become helplessly entrapped in this material world, life after life after life. So people, they're striving to satisfy their senses by any means, and therefore they continue their search for sense enjoyment, but don't realize the consequences, that they become ridden by fear, anxiety, and the three different types of miseries. That's miseries pertaining to the body and mind, caused by other living entities, or natural causes by the demigods. So it's said in Bhagavad Gita, especially explains that it's like we are in the midst of a battle. We turn on the TV and we see a war in Israel, for example, and we think, oh, that's going on there, but it's not going on here in England. But actually, this battle is going on constantly in the very place in which we live. Where do we live? we live in our very own minds, and we see the world from our mind's eye, according to whatever color of spectacles we're wearing. So it's very significant that Bhagavad Gita was spoken by Krishna on a battlefield to Arjuna. Why? Like I said, we're in a constant battle with ourselves or our own minds. In the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, a true yogi observes me, sees me in all beings, and always sees every being in me. And the self-realized person sees me in this, the same Lord everywhere. So wherever he looks, he sees only the Supreme Lord. And then Krishna says, for one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I'm never lost to him, nor is he ever lost to me. But Arjuna was hearing all this philosophy on the battlefield, and he said, oh, Krishna, this system of yoga, which you've explained, seems impractical and impossible for me. Why? Because ordinary people, they can't just give up everything and go to the Himalayas and practice yoga, especially in this age of Kali. It's very, very difficult, because this age of Kali is characterized by struggle for existence. There's just a short duration of life and people are struggling to survive. So Arjuna, he said to Krishna, look, the mind, it's very restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong. And I think to subdue it, to control it, is more difficult than controlling the raging wind. So Arjuna, he was seated on a chariot. He was driving a chariot. And that's very significant because the body is like a chariot, which houses the soul. And the horses that are pulling the chariot, they're the senses. And as time passes, year after year, then the horses run without obstruction, but in fact make no progress. Why? Because of the mind. So on this chariot, there's the horses and the ropes is likened to the mind. And if the person, the driver seated on the chariot, if his mind is out of control, then the horses will go out of control. And who knows where we can end up in this material world. So being engrossed in sense enjoyment, the jiva runs after this sense gratification life after life, but never ever finds satisfaction. So why? Because the jiva he's in an ocean which is filled with giant fish and deadly sharks. And those deadly sharks, they want to exploit us at every opportunity. That's other people in this world. They're always thinking how to get something from us, how to take something from us. So we're on a boat and we're wandering aimlessly in the vast ocean without any direction. In this way, the jiva is suffering and he's searching for relief, like a man in a desert, very, very hot desert, dying of thirst. He can't seem to find any relief. So how will that person find relief? How will he find water in the desert? In other words, how will he find the ras in this dry desert of the material world? And how will he understand what is the purpose of life? So the only way the jiva can really understand the answers to these questions is by simply crying out for relief and begging to get insight and as to what is the meaning of life. So who will give us these answers? Where will we find these answers? And who will show us the path to eternal happiness? Only the spiritual guide, or the guru that's sent by the Lord himself. He will come and tell us of a world which is beyond this world, where there's no suffering, only happiness, and not just ordinary happiness, but transcendental bliss. So the guru will tell us about the nature of that world according to Shastra, according to what Krishna told Arjuna, for example, in Bhagavad Gita. He said, from the highest planet of the material world to the lowest, all the places of miseries where repeated birth and death take place. So who would want to stay in such a place? Only a fool who thinks that the material world, which is like a prison, is the best place for material enjoyment, and that it's a place where we can relish so much sense gratification, on and on and on, but actually isn't the reality. Even those who have attained such great fame or so much money are not happy. They take shelter of drugs, intoxication, so many things, and become miserable, may even commit suicide like this. So once one realizes the nature of this material world, he'll want to get out immediately at the first opportunity. But how will he get out, and where will he go? So a person who's in prison, he may want to get out of prison, but when he gets out of the prison, then where will he go? So in the same way, we're in a prison of this material world. We want to get out, yes, but do we simply want liberation? No. We are searching for ras, and we will only find that ras in the ocean of ras. And where will we find the ocean of ras? Simply in Shri Krishna himself. He is an ocean of ras. And where will we find Krishna? We'll first find Krishna in that person or personality who possesses Krishna. Who is that? That's Shri Guru. That is that Uttama Adhikari, that topmost guru, who is relishing ras with Radha and Krishna every moment. So first, that guru, he will inform us what Krishna told Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, that there is an unmanifest nature that is eternal and is transcendental to this manifest and unmanifest material manifestation. It's supreme and it's never destroyed. And once one attains that place, he'll never return to this material world. Why? Because once one even gets a glimpse of that spiritual world and tastes even a drop of that transcendental nectar that's flowing there, then he will never, ever look towards this material world ever again for anything. He will see that this world is simply like a dry desert, very hot, dry desert with no ras whatsoever. And what to speak of one who gains entrance into that spiritual world, then he will become drowned in an ocean of sweet nectar. So this is the guru, the spiritual guide. He tells us about this place. He tells us how we can go beyond liberation and gain entrance to Goloka Vrindavan, where Krishna is sometimes playing with friends like Sridham, Subal, Madhumangal, or sometimes he's playing on the lap of Yashoda Maya, his mother. Sometimes he's playing Ras Leela with the gopis, and he's relishing so much Ras, and he's drowning all in the endless ocean of love and affection and ever increasing bliss. So hearing this from the lotus mouth of that transcendental guru, we may develop a greed to go there. And in the beginning, we may think, oh, okay, it sounds very easy to get there. But in reality, the price of the ticket and the visa to gain entrance to that transcendental abode is not so cheap. So Gurudev, he'll explain the goal. He'll say, first understand what is the goal, how high is the goal, how deep is the goal, and how far we have to go to attain the goal. But we may hear, or we may think, oh, how am I going to get there? But Gurudev's always said, don't be hopeless. In the beginning, it simply requires what? Shraddha, or faith. So Bhakti-Vakshak Srila Maharaj, he said, first, we have to have sukriti, bhakti sukriti. That means previous pious activities that we've done in previous lives or this life. We get some like credits, and what will that do? That will actually inspire faith within us. So the first stage will be agyata sukriti, which means unknowingly performing acts of devotion. And then gradually, when we get some knowledge, we'll perform gyata sukriti, which means back some devotional acts in knowledge. And then our shraddha will increase, and the tendency to search after truth from a transcendental agent will be there. We'll have some greed to know more and more. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he said, in the beginning, we may search on the surface of the ocean in this world, but then we'll be led to dig deeper, to find the jewels hidden below the ocean. And he said, actually, what position are we in? We're all threatened with mortality at every moment. So every second we are dying. In other words, so many atoms in our body are dying at every moment, and we're always under the threat of death. Therefore, in the beginning, we are bound to be concerned with, how can I save myself? How can I save myself in this fight with the environment? So I'm threatened by death, and we can pray, please, please guide me towards eternal existence. This is the first inquiry, the first prayer. And then the second concern will be, I'm ignorant. So from this ignorant state, this ignorant condition of mine, from ignorance, please guide me towards the light. So this is the meaning of guru. Gu means darkness, ru means light. So that personality who can guide one from the darkness of ignorance or this material world to the light of knowledge or bhakti, or the light of the spiritual world. So, and the third concern is for what, when one sees one's position in this world, they think, oh, I'm threatened with misery. So we may pray, please guide me towards bliss, transcendental bliss. I want to go in that direction. So Sridhar Maharaj, he said, there's a world which is guided only by faith. Faith is everything there. And that is of infinite nature, all accommodating. So that's the world of faith. And everything may be true there by the sweet will of the Lord. Here in this material world, this is what nature is, this world. It's of the fallible calculating of those exploiting souls. So people in this world, that they're always living on this plane of exploitation. But we should know that the material knowledge that's gained here has no value whatsoever there in the transcendental world, so should be rejected. And so Sridhar Maharaj is saying, in this infinite world, in the spiritual world, faith is the director. So in this world, we're in a boat, we're floating in a boat on the infinite ocean, and anything may come to help or not. Rather anything may come to hinder us in this, disturb us in this world. So if we can't see where we're going in the infinite ocean, then what will guide us? Only a compass. That will be our guide. But who can read that compass? We'll have to take the help from a captain who like the captain of the ship, a captain of a boat, who will guide our boat on course. So it said in Srimad Bhagavatam, Nudayamajam sulabam sudulabam, plavam sukalpam gukhanadaram, mayanukulena nabasperetam, pumambavabdimna teresa atmaha. Although this human body, which can give all benefit in life, is automatically attained in due course of time, but still it's very, very rare. But it's likened to a dependable boat, and who is the captain of that boat but Guru? He will guide that boat, which is, our bodies are like a boat. He'll guide us by giving us instructions. That will be like the favorable winds that will propel our boat on its course. And considering this, one who doesn't use this human form of life to cross over the ocean of repeated birth and death is like a killer of his soul. In other words, he's just wasting his life. He's wasting this valuable opportunity. So this captain of the boat is a realized soul, and he's acting as guru in this world. And that guru can perfectly read the compass and direct us on the course back home, back to Godhead, as Srila Prabhupada would always say. So what is the compass? The compass is the directions of that's given by Krishna himself in the form of Shastra, all the instructions in Bhagavad Gita, like Srimad Bhagavatam, and also the instructions that come within the heart of Shri Guru that's relayed to him for our highest benefit. So if we simply follow those instructions, then our boat can be perfectly guided on course across this material existence to the spiritual world. So I've almost finished. In the infinite ocean, I have to board my very small boat and we may be uncertain of the destination. We don't know really what is the destination or the nature of the destination. It may be inconceivable to me, but it is not inconceivable to Guru. It's completely conceivable to Guru because Gurudev is living in that spiritual world. He's living in Goloka Vrindavan. He's associating, he's serving. He knows, he's traversed this path and he's gone there. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he said that Shraddha, this faith, it's charged with some great hope in the infinite, in the spiritual world. So just like Columbus had faith that he would find the land of his dreams by sailing in the ocean. So after some time of searching, he came upon, where? What did he discover? America. And in the same way, we will need Shraddha, we'll need faith, the light in the darkness. Only Shraddha, only faith can guide us when we're traveling in this land of the infinite. The spiritual world, it's infinite. And if we wish to be drawn to that world, or if we wish that that transcendental world will draw me to it, then how will we be drawn there? The only way is through Shraddha, the only way is through faith. So by faith, we can attract the infinite, we can attract Krishna and the spiritual. Nothing else can attract us there. And then Srila Sri Rama said, and when it gets a definitive form, that Shraddha, that faith becomes bhav, and then that bhav becomes prem. So how will we actually attain this bhav, this prem? It seems so far away. Maybe we think we haven't even got Shraddha, we haven't even got, means paramatic Shraddha, transcendental faith. But it all begins with surrender. So yeah, 1 minute. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarvadharma pragyaya mammekam saranam vrajat, surrender to me. But how will we surrender? Well, in order to surrender, we need humility. We need to understand, oh, I am needy. Once we have this understanding that I don't have any knowledge, I don't have any qualification, nothing. But I want, I desire, I need. Then, and only then, can we come to know Krishna. Then he will be attracted to us and help us. And then we'll be able to come to know what Krishna likes, and in the way he likes it, and how we will come to him. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I give the understanding by which one can come to me. And how will he do that? He'll send guru. What kind of guru? This last point, very important point, is that guru, if we are sincere, he will send that guru, has these 3 qualifications. Tasmat guru prapajeta jigna sheshu uttama shabde parachanishnatam brahmana pasta bashram. That means he's realized Shabda Brahma, the Vedic scriptures. He's realized Parabrahma, the Supreme Lord Krishna. And he has no material attachments whatsoever. So we should inquire from such a guru as to what is our greatest benefit in this world. And we should take, finish, like very last point, taking shelter of that guru. Then, like a lotus flower is situated in water, then when the lotus flower is there in the water, the sun will shine and the lotus flower will blossom. But if the lotus flower isn't situated in water, then that same sun will burn the lotus and cause it to wither. So in this example, guru is the water, the disciple is the lotus, and the Supreme Lord is the sun. So as long as the lotus is situated in water, the sun will support and nourish and protect it. So, and then it will grow. But if that lotus is placed on the land, then the sun will burn it and it will gradually wither away. So that means as long as the disciple is not taking shelter of guru, his heart will become dry and withered, and he will just simply die of thirst. So how will take shelter of guru? Tadvidi pranipatina paripashana sevya upadekshanti tekyanam jnaninas tatvadashana. But 3 ways: by first accepting guru, taking shelter of him, surrendering to him, serving him, and inquiring from him. So can finish there, but Guru, actually it's essential to get the guidance of Guru. Yeah, I've finished. It's essential to get, I just want to round it up because the topic is spiritual guide.
Okay, you have 10 seconds to round
10
up.
seconds, okay, to round up. We have, it's essential for us to get the guidance of Guru. Why? So that he can engage us in this world, in the service of Krishna, so that we can get trained up to know how to serve Radha and Krishna in the spiritual world. So he's teaching us this seva vritti, this tendency to serve. Okay, and in the beginning, only through faith, through sincerity, okay, dedication, we can approach Guru and become qualified to enter the spiritual world. Nichitai Guru Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Okay.
Thank you so much, Caru, Candrika, Didi. I think when I gave you this topic, I thought this isn't the last time we're going to do this topic because it's such an important topic and there's so many different ways to approach this topic. And one thing amongst other things I really liked about your presentation is that you started on this basis, you built it on this basis of what is the nature of the materially conditioned living entity and what is the necessity for a spiritual guide. So before even talking about anything to do with Guru, Guru Tattva, spiritual guide, spiritual master, however you want to refer to the concept or the personality, you established what is the necessity for that. So I really appreciate that, amongst other things, about your talk. So thank you. I want to encourage everyone to check the chat. There is a link, I just posted it again, for submitting questions. Holistic Bhakti wouldn't happen without your questions. We have some great questions already this week, and I want to encourage as many people to submit whatever questions that they want, whatever they like. Can we keep the football questions to a minimum, please? I think in this 90 minutes, we're not, do you see what I did there, guys? We're not talking about football. Yeah, that just came to me. That must have been paramount.
You can use football analogies though, right?
If I don't like it, I might give you a yellow card. Oh, terrible.
That's fine. I'll be like the Italians. I'll go yellow, but I won't go red.
Okay. That was terrible. Okay, enough. Okay, we made enough football references now. We've got to stop. Otherwise, it's going to become a bad habit between you and I. And Holistic Bhakti is just going to football is going to slowly encroach on Holistic Bhakti until we become like some.
Okay, we'll make some Jewish references instead.
Okay, yeah. We'll stick to the Jewish references. They seem more kosher. That was terrible as well. Okay. We've established that I'm not on good form with the puns tonight, so I'm going to try and keep what I say to a minimum. So I want to start with what question? Oh, I like this question. It goes straight into the nitty-gritty. And I'm expecting this to actually sprout off some follow-up questions, maybe from our audience. Okay. There have been so many false gurus, so how can I trust any guru? I'm going to give all the panelists one minute to answer questions initially. So that question is, there have been so many false gurus, so how can I trust any guru? So Budara Prabhu, do you want to answer first?
Yeah, I'm not sure I can answer that in 1 minute. It's a deep question. It's an important question. And the only thing I would say is that we have ways of knowing what is a real guru. That comes from Shastra. We have sadhus that we can check in with that can guide us. in terms of knowing who is a bona fide guru. A real guru is not a cheap thing, and we should apply careful scrutiny in looking at a potential guru. I think the last thing I'll say is that, you know, we have to have love in our heart to serve the guru. So if you don't feel in your heart attracted to a guru, then don't take that guru, don't take that person as a guru. I mean, there's so many things that I could say, but I'll just leave it at that to try to get in under a minute, which I don't think is easy to do.
Haribol, thank you. Next, we are going to go to Jagatam Didi, if you'd like to answer.
She was not feeling so well, so I don't know if she's still online.
Okay, so if she's, yeah, I think I saw some account, but maybe she's not here anymore. So yeah, if she just comes through, you can ask her. Okay, so I'm going to go to Yashodananda Prabhu just to remind you, you have 1 minute. I'm gonna hold up this sign, finish please, now, because we have lots of questions.
So you want me to finish now?
Well done for
Tell
taking the hint.
me when I can start.
No, I'm just establishing some ground rules because the questions are coming in now. We've got maybe 6 really
In
good.
other words, drive inside the lines, okay?
Yeah, well, if he doesn't let me start, we're just wasting time.
Okay, no, I'm just saying. Okay, everyone's got 1 minute. When I hold up this sign, you have to finish. Otherwise,
Okay,
I'm
you
gonna
got
be
it.
forced to take.
I'll be inside a minute.
Okay,
But
go.
Tarun Prabhu, you were more than 1 minute just now. So you get
Okay.
you get the yellow card.
All right.
That's true, but I was just trying to make something very clear. You have to forgive me. Okay, I'm on a yellow card now. Okay, I better get on with it.
He's a referee.
Prabhu.
Okay. So to use a football analogy, no, I'm joking. Actually, I'm going to give a very simple answer. Srila Prabhupada came to the West in 1965, I think I'm right in saying. There are many devotees who have a track record of selecting bona fide gurus who have demonstrated their perfect behavior over many years. I'm not talking about the devotee, I'm talking about the guru. Like, I mean, Bidara Prabhu, for example, has had Srila Prabhupada and Narayan Maharaj as guru. And there are many people like this who have chosen very intelligently. So I look at what they do, and I look at the people who have put the right steps in front of one another and taken bona fide gurus, and I choose accordingly. So I would follow in the footsteps of people who've gone before me as a filter. Haribol.
Haribol. Wow. Just under a minute. Okay. Okay, Caru, you also have 1 minute, and I'm not going to give you an extra 10 seconds at the end. So when you're ready, go.
Right. So it said, Lord Shiva said to Parvati, Govo Bhava Shanti Shisha Vitara Paraka. Dolaba said Guru Devi Shisha Shanta Pakaraka, means that there are so many gurus in this world who want to plunder the disciples' wealth. They want to exploit their disciples, take advantage of them, and you know, they've got big pockets like kangaroos, Gurudev said, and you know, they're collecting like this, or they're attracted to women or followers like this. So we can look for those symptoms. It's not too difficult to see. And I agree. I thought that both Pradara Prabhu's answer and Yashodananda Prabhu's answer was perfectly great. That you know, understand the qualification of guru and Tasmat Guru Prapajita Jigneshe Shudma mentioned that and look for those qualifications in that guru, and simply you could test guru also.
Okay, that was past 1 minute. Sorry, I'm just trying to set a precedent. Please don't take my offense. But yeah, we've got to, because we're quite tight on time, and yeah, we've got yeah, maybe 6 more questions to, or 5 more questions to answer. So we're going to move to 30-second answers, and which is even more tough, but I guess a request of you to like consider your, all of you to like consider your answers for a moment, and then just answer in a very succinct way these questions. The object of the exercise is not to answer any of these questions fully. For example, a question that we might have time to answer, how to find a Mahabhagavat Guru, we can spend 2 hours talking on, but to just give some kind of taste in 30 seconds. So the next question I want to ask is, if we are so conditioned, then please tell me how we can discriminate between who is Guru and who is not. Vidara Prabhu, do you want to go first again?
I'm putting my timer on 30 seconds going now. Seek out advice from Shastra and other persons who are experienced in following good gurus. That's, oh, I'm up now, I've got 10 more seconds, but that's it in a nutshell.
Awesome. Thank you. Yashodanandam Prabhu.
Don't rush. Take your time to observe. Ask advice from those who have a good track record of choosing bona fide gurus.
Caru.
Sorry, the question, oh, if we're so conditioned, that was the question. So yeah, we are conditioned, and you know, Kanishta Adhikaris cannot tell, but there's a saving grace that we can, you know, see according to Shastra, as it's been said. We can follow those who have found the true Guru, and we can cry and pray. Srila Govinda Maharaj said, you must cry for Guru, pray to Nityananda Prabhu to find Guru. And Guru cannot, actually we cannot find Guru, but Guru will come to us, directly to us, when we are really sincere. We have Sukriti.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next question is, oh, I like this question. Can Guru be wrong / make a mistake? 30 seconds. Charu, do you want to go first this time?
Mm-hmm. Well, obviously there's different kinds of gurus. Even a Kanishta Adhikari can take the position of Guru, Majjhima Adhikari can take that position, but Srila Prabhupada has recommended in Upadeshamrita to search and find an Uttama Adhikari Guru, topmost Guru, who is free from the 4 defects of making mistakes, prone to illusion, he has imperfect senses, and he's prone to cheat. So in that kind of Guru cannot make mistakes, but other Gurus who are lesser, then they can, who are Kanishta Adhikari especially.
Thank you. Shodanandan Prabhu, do you want to add anything onto that?
I think Vidara is keen to go next.
Okay.
Yeah, very simple. Sadguru can never make a mistake. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. and Yashoda.
Actually, I want to answer that question with a question, because I don't have anything to, I think Charu and Budara covered that topic very well. But my understanding is that a Mahabhagwat who's acting as guru in this world sometimes comes to the Madhyam plane of consciousness. So when they're in the Madhyam plane, surely they can make what we would see as a mistake, although it's not a mistake because they're relating to us in a Madhyam way. Is that not correct?
That's not correct.
No.
All right.
No.
Yeah, correct that, would you? Because
Do you want to correct that, Charu? You want to answer that? Or
No, you go ahead.
Okay, well, I mean, because a guru acts as a Madhyam Adhikari, that doesn't mean he adopts the 4 defects of a conditioned soul.
right.
It means that he makes the distinctions between the Supreme Lord, the devotees, the innocent, and those that have animosity to the devotees and the Lord. So those are the principal 4 distinctions that qualify a Madhyam guru. Madhyam is actually a very high standard of guru, by the way. And Gurudev himself also said that Madhyam devotees are actually required to act as a guru in this world.
Yeah.
But we always keep our eye on looking for that Sadguru.
Thank you. I'm going to post the link again. So I think because those questions were answered quite quickly, I think we can go back to 1 minute. Sorry, I'm used to asking the question to like 5 or 6 panelists. So now I'm adjusting.
I mean, I don't want the referee to give us a corner kick if if we're not entitled.
Well, we could make a substitution. We could get Lolita to start answering questions as well.
Yeah, you could. She can answer some questions. What's the next one?
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I think we're all quite tired. Not all, but some of us have held their hands up to be quite tired today, and I am one of those. So the next question is, okay, I like this question a lot. How far can we progress in Krishna consciousness without a living guru? Okay. Yashodananda Prabhu, do you want to go first? You have 1 minute, by the way.
Starting when?
You decide.
Okay, my understanding. So let's just talk about this in experiential terms. We're actually wanting to establish relationships in Vrindavan with the personalities in Vrindavan, ultimately Radha and Krishna. And we cannot do that without a living guru, because we're too conditioned to be able to connect with those relationships directly. We need the living guru. But my understanding is we can progress quite substantially up to a certain point before that in Krishna consciousness without a living guru. So it can be, in some cases, people get a guru quite quickly. In some cases, it can take many years. But just because someone doesn't have a guru, it doesn't mean they're less progressed necessarily than someone who does have a guru.
Thank you. Caru, Candrika, Didi, do you want to go next?
Yeah, well, basically, it depends on one's previous sukriti and samskars. So if one's in previous lives have collected a lot of bhakti sukriti, a lot of good samskars, impressions, have collected so much bhakti, then yes, it is possible to progress without a guru so far. But really, for most of us, then we're like when I said progress, like some associates of Mahaprabhu, for example, some of them didn't have a Diksha guru or whatever. Now, for us, conditioned souls, then we are completely dependent on guru to progress. And we have no entrance to the spiritual world without the help and guidance of guru.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, that's strong. I've heard this before, and it's a very strong, strong like conception. But yeah, well, it's in the Guru Vastakam, right? Without Guru, we can't make any
advancement. Yasha Prashadam Bhagavat Prashadi, Yasha Prashadam Nagati Tobi. You can't make even 1 inch of advancement without the mercy of Guru.
Thank you. Badara Prabhu, do you want to add anything?
I think that it's important to remember that Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that, the Vaishnava never dies really, and that the Vaishnava makes him or herself available through their writings, through their songs, through their instructions, and so on. So I agree with everything that's been said. We can't make advancement without Guru, but Guru, in the absence of a living Guru, we do have recourse to have access to spiritual wisdom that that our gurus make available to us. I know of a number of cases, and I can think of one right now in my life, of somebody who is making considerable spiritual advancement without a guru, simply by praying to Gurudev, and she never met Gurudev. So some advancement is possible, is what I would qualify what has been said. But getting back to the spiritual world, then if Krishna wants that to happen, that's one thing. But on our own, no, we can't do it.
But Pradara Prabhu, one could say that person who you know is making advancement by praying to Gurudev, in one sense, that person has accepted Gurudev in some ways as their guru.
No, but the question was living Guru.
Correcting, yeah, that's what I'm making.
The question said, how much advancement can you make without a living Guru? The key word is living.
Okay, living Guru.
That's why I think your answer was correct, Charu, but it didn't take into account the word living.
Sorry, I didn't hear living here.
Yeah.
But yeah. But living Guru is definitely recommended.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
can I add? I want to add to this. I think this, Tarun. I want to add to this. If you don't, Tarun, I just want to add to this because it's a very important. Because I had a I have someone who's very important in my life who came from, I think, quite an impersonal background to Gurudev, and I spent years cultivating this person, and this person's really beautiful devotee, and this was something we came up against because they didn't want to just whimsically choose Guru, and they didn't want to be, they accepted the need for living Guru, but they didn't want to be forced into living Guru on the basis that you can't make progress. And what I witnessed is that this person was able to connect with Gurudev, connect with Parampara, and really get connected. So that person was totally had Parampara driving their bhakti and not in need of me at all, which is what I wanted. They still don't have a Guru. They've made a lot of progress. But they know they cannot get to the spiritual world without Guru, and they're praying for Guru.
It's important to remember too that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Adi Guru and Nityananda Prabhu, and through their mercy, they've made the holy name available to everyone without restriction. So even if someone picks up the chanting, they can make some progress. Otherwise it's well, I wouldn't consider it to be a very effective method, would it be? There's not always a living guru a living Sadguru who's available to us.
Mm.
No.
Yeah. I wanted to say as a follow-up that's why I was trying to get in before you showed her not to move things on. Was that although technically the question was without a living guru, I think I really appreciated your answer, Caru, and I think it was good that you answered that question, answered that specific question, i.e. guru in general, because I think that's a really important question. And I think you gave a really important answer. So yeah, I just wanted to say, I think that's why it's so one of the really positive things about having a panel is that questions are interpreted differently and then answered differently, even though generally the panelists have relatively similar perspectives and come from the same background in Tattva Siddhanta philosophy. And I think on Holistic Bhakti, generally coming from Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gurudev, we still get such a wide range of answers because of this different interpretation. Anyway, I'll move swiftly on to the next question, which is, I like this question. So this question refers to Paramatma, which refers to the super soul, which is a manifestation of Vishnu, but simultaneously known as Chaitya Guru, Guru inside the heart, who guides us internally. And the question is, how can we discriminate between Paramatma and mind or intelligence? So when we say hear something or we feel guided, how can we discriminate between what we're hearing and what's guiding us? So Shodanandan Prabhu, do you want to go first?
With 1 minute, right? There's no way to, yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, 1 second. I'm just setting my clock. Actually, that's a brilliant question. Brilliant question. So firstly, it's a lot easier to discriminate if you really are in living a sattvic life, living in the mode of goodness, because then you're going to have a stable intelligence, a stable mind, and being able to hear the different whispers in the heart. You're going to be more sensitive to your consciousness and more sensitive to the distinctions. So having said that, I think it's very different for different people. In my case, basically Paramatma is a much more subtle communication than mind or intelligence. And I feel that it's, when I'm guided by Srila Gurudev, it's almost like my whole subtle body is receiving that message as a golden whisper. And it's like in a tone that I've become used to, and I can discriminate between if I'm living in a sattvic manner. That's my personal experience. I think this is deeply personal.
Thank you. Badara Prabhu, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I think two simple points, not conclusive or comprehensive, but just 2 points that come to my mind. I think one is it requires great honesty on the part of the individual, and what Yasoda said probably sets you up for that. If you're living a sattvic life, you're going to be more reflective and more self-aware and more humble and willing to really look at yourself and ask, what's really going on in terms of your receiving a thought or a message or an intuition, or however you want to describe it. And the other thing that comes to my mind is that there's then a consequence to whatever action we take. And so, it's a bad analogy, but spiritual life is a little bit like sailing if you're on your own. So you tack, you're going in a certain direction, but sometimes you go left and sometimes you go right, as long as you're going forward. So adjustment has to be there. And I would say if you have an intuition that Super Soul is speaking to you, then, act with caution and with diligence and check in with yourself and say, well, what's the consequence? What's the result of that action?
Perfect timing. Caru, Candrika, do you want to answer this question?
I think we've got to be very careful, because I know, like for myself, I may have so many material desires. So often something can come up and you think, oh, but is that really coming from Chaitya Guru or Gurudev? I often pray to Gurudev, ask him, you know, he's left this world, but I still ask. And or is it coming from some desire that I've got, conscious, unconscious, you know? So we have to be very careful, and that's why it's recommended to have Shiksha Guru and to always run things by our Shiksha Gurus, and just confirm. They'll give confirmation, Guru Sadhu Shastra, like that. So I personally don't like to depend completely on my own mind, which is heart, which is full of desires. You know, I would, you know, if it's something important and serious, yeah, I would definitely confirm with Shiksha Guru.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, I think we have time for one more question. Let's see, where is it here? Yeah. So the question is, it's like a personal question, so I'm going to ask it for each of the panelists. And I guess it is a personal question. I feel as though you'll be comfortable answering this question, but if you don't want to answer, then yeah, don't answer. The question is, what was your first experience, impressions? What was the situation when you met your Gurudev? I think it's a really sweet question and a nice question to end with. Do you want to go first, Yashodananda Prabhu?
I'll go first if you give me 90 seconds.
I was just changing the clock to 90 seconds.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. Okay, fabulous question. Well, I first met my Gurudev actually before I met him, because I met him in 1996 in January with Budara, when Tridandi Maharaj, who wasn't a sannyasi at the time, came bounding in like Tigger out of Winnie the Pooh, talking about this Mahabhagavad. And I was looking for a guru. I wanted Prabhupada to be my guru. Of course, he couldn't be because he wasn't a living guru. And when I heard about this person, although I really didn't have a clue what was going on, it was clear to me that that person was probably going to be my guru. So I hadn't met him physically yet. So he wasn't in Vrindavan or Mathura at the time. He was over in Navadvip. So Budara and I flew back, and I flew back to India the next month with my ex-wife. And long story short, we met Gurudev early one morning just before he was going back to Mayapur. And I remember walking in, and actually, I didn't feel that much to begin with. What I knew, looking at him, was that he was the real thing. It was like everybody was, because all the brahmacharis knew me, they were all saying, hey, become sannyas. And I was like, I'm with my wife. And like, I'm not qualified ever to be brahmachari or anything, right? But they were like cheering me on. And Gurudev was like, he made a gesture with his hands. He had very beautiful hand movements. And he was like, we've got all the time in the world, step by step. And I just knew he was the real deal.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Caru, Candrika, Didi, do you want to answer?
Okay, well, I was in one institution and searching for a guru, and I followed the advice of Shastra to test guru, and I questioned different gurus, and I couldn't find any that were anything like Srila Prabhupada. Then when I first saw a picture of Gurudev, because a disciple of Gurudev had a book, and I saw his picture, when I first read the book, I knew that Gurudev was a pure devotee. You know, I got that impression. And then when I actually physically met him, I understood that he's not like any of the gurus I've met before. Like Yashodananda said, he's the real thing. And how I got that impression is in two ways. One was that my former husband, he was pouring his heart out to Gurudev, and I just felt this wave of compassion coming from Gurudev's heart, and it was so powerful. It like hit my heart and melted my heart, and I just started to cry. So then I knew absolutely, you know, before I thought definitely Gurudev is a pure devotee. Then I thought, wow, he's like topmost guru. And the second way I understood that was, you know, I asked, the first question I asked, I said, you know, how can one recognize what one's guru? Because it said, Chakradana Diliye Jami Jami Prabhu say, your guru is birth after birth is eternal, your guru. So I was kind of had this conception, you know, how do I recognize who's my guru? And I asked Gurudev that question, and he said, you cannot go and search and find guru yourself, but he will come directly to you, and he'll come knocking on your door. And then as soon as he said that, I was just like, wow, you know, and I just knew that was, you know, Krishna had sent Guru to me, and I felt the most fortunate person in the world at that time. So
awesome, thank you. Oh, those are two really nice reasons. Okay, Badara Prabhu, do you want to answer?
My time around. Yeah, well, my situation is a little bit different from everybody else's. I met Srila Prabhupada through his books and became convinced of him being Sadguru through his books. That inspired in me the idea that I would surrender to a temple. So I went and presented myself to a temple, and I moved into the temple and shaved my head. And I lived as a brahmachari for about 3.5 years, doing various sevas, going on Sankirtan all over the United States before I even laid my eyes on Srila Prabhupada. And of course, when I laid my eyes on Prabhupada, it was a miraculous experience, because I had been praying to him in sometimes rather arduous circumstances on Sankirtan, looking at this picture in the Bhagavad Gita or whatever book I had, and praying to him, please help me, you know, I can't do this without you. I know you're there, guide me, protect me. And of course, the picture is only like that big, but when I met him, you know, I saw that Prabhupada's figure was actually really, I know my time is up, really quite, I don't know what the right word is, but dainty almost. He is quite small by comparison to me. And I was completely shocked by that, because in my mind he had this massive aura, but his figure was quite small. And he just glowed this amazing, when you read about effulgences, it was like there was a shimmer of anti-materialism all around him. It really looked like he was almost like a living hologram. So, and I could go into it more, but my time's up. So thanks.
Thank you so much. So yeah, I think our time is up. Yes, it was beautiful. All of your answers were beautiful, actually. I thought it was a nice question to end on. So time is up. I'm going to thank everyone, and then I think Yashodananda Prabhu has an announcement. He hasn't told me, but I'm presuming he does, because we've got something very auspicious coming up.
Oh yeah, I was wondering what it is. I've got 2 announcements.
Okay, okay. So yeah, first I want to, first and foremost, thank our speaker, Srimati Caru Candrika Didi, for coming and speaking on this topic. Yeah, there was so much information, and I think I will try and find some time to go over it again, so that I can absorb all of this information, all of these different concepts, like the 4 material defects, which are, really just shine a light on the nature of the living entity. So yeah, thank you so much for your time and energy. Thank you to all of the panelists. Thank you to Janardhan Prabhuji, who is always making such beautiful posters and allowing us to so nicely advertise. And anytime I show anyone these posters, they're always very, very impressed. So I think it's drawing people in, the visual, because we live in a very visual society, as Charu made reference to the TV, be it like brainwashing and conditioning us. So I think through your beautiful posters, you're drawing people to come, and yeah, I think in the future you're going to continue to draw more and more people through this talent. So, and I see it, not just in holistic Bhakti, but within all of the different programs and virtual programs that you make posters for. So thank you so much for your seva, and it's such a pleasure to work with you. So that's why I'm taking this extended thank you. And last but not least, I want to thank all of the audience for coming and listening, to all the future people who are going to tune in. I know quite a few people watch afterwards who can't watch live. So thank you, everyone. And thank you to Sri Guru. Thank you. I want to thank my Gurudev. I want to thank Param Gurudev, Param Guru Maharaj, and a whole Guru Varg, who are giving me so much mercy, even though I'm often reluctant to take it and would rather watch football or do something that is not really serving my soul. So yes, without further ado, you can make your announcement.
Tarun, a big thank you to you. I actually thought, it's my personal opinion, others may disagree, I actually thought that was the best emceeing so far, because you were really tough on time. And what I notice is less is often more. And when we're constricted by time, we might kick back a bit and think, oh, we need more time. But actually the answers are often best when they're short. And I thought that was really brilliant, and you got the best out of us. So thank you very much. Okay, so here are the 2 announcements. I'm going to do it in chronological order. I'm so excited. We're so excited. The whole team is so excited, having completed World Sankirtan Day 2021. And by the way, guess what? You've heard it here first. There will be a World Sankirtan Day 2022. There will be one in 2023 as well. Anyway, I can go on all the way to 2030, but that wasn't the announcement. The announcement is next week is Guru Purnima. Guru Purnima is actually on the 24th of July. But we're having a 64-hour Zoomathon. Actually, it's already become 72 hours, because the number, we had 192 slots. We've already filled over 205 of them. So we need to extend it. So we're starting at 8:30 on the 22nd UK time on the Thursday. It's already being promoted. The whole of the 25th, the Friday, the whole of the, the whole of the 22nd, 8:30 UK time on the 22nd, the whole of the 23rd, the whole of the 24th, which is actually Guru Purnima, and it will go into the 25th. At the moment, we'll probably finish at about 9 o'clock in the morning. We may even go to midday. We have, the exciting thing about it is that it is the most non-sectarian, broad-visioned event we could possibly conceive of, because we're celebrating the lives and leelas of 14, yes, 14 Nichilila Ashtatara Mahabhagwats. So we've been talking about gurus. We're talking about Srila Prabhupada, we're talking about Srila Narayan Maharaj, we're talking about gurus like Bhakti Vigyan Bharti Maharaj, Gol Govinda Maharaj, Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, Bhakti Pramod Vaibhav Maharaj, Bhakti Kimla Govinda Maharaj, so on and so forth. It's going to be the most, so we've got speakers, oh, Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj. So we've got speakers from Brazil to China, from Canada to New Zealand, all speaking about their Shiksha and Diksha experiences with these 14 Mahabhagavats. So it is going to be totally ecstatic. Please come, please tell your friends. We even have somebody from the lineage of the Goswami Radharaman, one of the Goswamis that serves at Radharaman. So it goes back to the original Goswami. We even have someone, so we have Gaudiya Math devotees speaking, we have ISKCON devotees speaking, we have Srila Gurudev devotees speaking, and we have Radharaman Goswami speaking. So it's a very broad, beautiful celebration of Guru Purnima. So that is the first announcement. The second announcement, and this is very dear to Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj's heart, is that if it wasn't for Rupa Goswami, we would not actually have any real teachings by Mahaprabhu, because Mahaprabhu only wrote the Shishashtakam, nothing else. So if it wasn't for Rupa Goswami, we wouldn't have all the writings, we wouldn't have the definition, the description, the insights on Ras Leela. So every year, Srila Gurudev held a conference, a Srila Rupa Goswami Tirabhav festival, his disappearance day. So it's the 3 days leading up to Balaram's appearance day. So it is August the 19th, August the 20th, and August the 21st. And we'll be running that slightly differently. It won't be a Zoomathon. It will be Zoom. It'll be a bit like Navreet Parikram. We're going to have a 10 to 1 3-hour session in the morning and a 6 to 9 3-hour session in the evening. We'll have speakers speaking for 45 minutes each. So there'll be 24 sessions of Harikatha over 3 days, covering all the works of Rupa Goswami. So that will be promoted after Guru Purnima. We'll start promoting that. So that's an exciting July and an exciting August. And we got something lined up in September as well, but I'm not going to tell you what it is yet.
I heard about that exciting thing, and it sounded very exciting. I heard about it today, so get excited for September/August. But I think that is all for tonight. So I'm going to say Om Gyana Timarantya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshon Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Panchapapa Terubyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.